So I guess, Shannon, why don't we start, like, what got you interested in Bigfoot? Like, where did this come from, this fascination of yours with the whole subject?
I've talked to so many people, like Ken, right? Like a lot of people have this, either they have their experience, of course, personal, or they saw like the Legend of Boggy Creek, or they picked up a good Bigfoot book or something like that. Apes Among Us, John Green. And then they kind of caught the Bigfoot bug. For me, I don't really know exactly when it started. It's really anticlimactic for an answer, but that's the truth. I just know that the more I started to consume podcasts, the only podcasts that I wanted to listen to were Bigfoot podcasts.
What is, in your mind, what is Bigfoot?
Well, from my own perspective, and I come at it as a cryptozoologist, which means I investigate evidence of unknown animals. And I've spent decades investigating the Bigfoot phenomenon. I've traveled all over North America doing field research. I worked with most of the leading Bigfoot investigators in the world. And I've also interviewed hundreds of eyewitnesses. And based on all of that, I'm convinced that Bigfoot is an undiscovered hominid, a relic hominid, if you will. That is something from our prehistoric past.
What about, there's very much an indigenous culture based around Bigfoot and other kind of forest spirits. How do you think that plays into this? Is it kind of more like just almost, for lack of a better word, a spiritual belief system attached to it? Or do you think there's any credence to it being this kind of mythical, ethereal being, protector of the woods?
Well, sure. And, I've spoken to Indigenous people all over the continent. And, you have to understand that, different cultures have different traditions and different perspectives, just like all people do. So certainly some of the Indigenous people I've spoken to do view Bigfoot as a spirit form. But, you also have to consider that many of those same cultures also view other animals like bears and wolves and eagles and ravens as also having a spirit form and also a physical form.
Shawn actually got a hold of a neighbor of his named Mike, who is an avid outdoorsman and fisherman and hunter.
He proceeded to tell me where he knows where there's a Bigfoot. So, of course, I'm like, oh, do tell. He said about 50 kilometers from where we currently are sitting, there's a lake that he fishes at that you have to hike into. And there's a little cabin there and a boat ready for anybody to use. And when he would go around a certain point of the lake, there would be tree knocking.
It's usually a warning. Stay away.
I didn't think before starting out on this journey that I'd ever take part in a Bigfoot hunt, but here we are.
So I never told anybody. And then one year, a friend of mine that I work with, this was probably about 2000, so like 10 years later, like 2007 or 8, a friend of mine wanted to come up and check out this lake, and I hadn't mentioned a word to him about the tree knocking or the noises, or I hadn't said a word to him. And so I just thought, when we got on the lake, I said, hey, we're going to go around this lake and fish today. And I said, if we get to a particular part of the lake and you notice anything different, let me know. So we circle in the lake, and so I head for that area, and sure enough, huge whack, whack, whack. And his eyes just light up, and I looked at him and said, I've been hearing that for the better part of 10 years. I don't know what it is. And an elderly gentleman that we work with, he says, well, you know what that is, don't you? And we have no idea what that is. And he goes, well, that's how Sasquatches communicate. And I was like, what do you mean that's how how do you know that? And he started, apparently he's an aficionado and he reads all the different books, and that was his statement.
When you hear about wood knocks, people attribute that to a Bigfoot alerting others in their family or clan, whatever you want to call it, in their group of the presence of one of the hairless, creatures, the bumbling pink hairless creatures that we are in the woods. They announce the arrival of us, I think, is usually what, it's supposed to mean.
So-called wood knocking sounds, percussive, loud sounds like a wood knock have been associated with the Bigfoot phenomenon for decades, perhaps going back to the 1950s when Bigfoot investigators first began to sort of connect that to Bigfoot. In my many years of doing field research across North America, I've only heard this phenomenon one time.
we're gonna get out and see if we can hear some wood knocking. So is the best way, Mike, just to go out in the boat, do you think, or?
Well, that would be ultimately the best.
The adventure portion of our show, we got a leaky boat. Slow leak, but we're gonna head out in the water and see what we can head on over to the area where Mike and everyone's been hearing the sounds to come from. So this will be exciting. This is what we signed on for.
This is awesome.
Sean's wisely not coming along for this portion of the trip.
We'll jump in the truck, drive around, and we'll walk right to the shoreline.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
If you hit the end of the lake, you've gone too far.
Good to know.
75% of my life in the forest, hunting grouse, just walking around with my dog or my horse or whatever. And I came around a corner and I saw a bear standing up, picking berries. Like reaching up, picking, he looked at me sideways and just started booking it on two legs. Like just started running. And I was like, what the hell? And when it turned, its shoulders were quite wide and it was running, like swinging his arms and everything. And then it started to go down a hill, and that's when it dropped to all fours and really booked it. But it was, if I didn't know it was already a bear, had I come around the corner and seen it only running, I would have sworn it was a Sasquatch.
So yeah, you can see the boat is filling with water. We're moving towards shore. Marcus, how are you enjoying yourself?
I'm having a fantastic time.
All right, so we had to go to shore because it was getting a bit wet in the boat.
It's right across the road there.
Well, that's good.
Oh, okay. So we're driving there then? Or? Well, I think you're best to approach with the boat.
I think so too. Like, yeah, we can continue on that way.
Yeah, look at all the shrimp and the shrill over there.
Oh yeah.
It's just teeming with life. So basically, yeah.
We just go straight across.
Straight across.
Indie shot, especially with the hat.
Dun, 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 dun.
How about you just keep it straight under the power supply?
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone ashore here, Mike?
No.
Wonder if we should try.
Yeah, when I heard the banging, I was like, I'm not going ashore.
I wouldn't either if I heard something like that. It's just something saying, keep away. Do you want to try just pulling into shore and seeing if something comes up? Probably right.
For a second.
We're going to take a look on this side here, just to see. Let's see. I'll just go a little ways in.
All right. So, Shawn, you mind telling us what happened while we were across the lake?
Well, while you were in the water, I heard some banging over there. I did hear it, tried to get my camera out in time, so hopefully when we get back and analyze it.
Yeah, sounds good.
You have to kind of keep the skeptical side in any of this stuff, and Bigfoot's got to be the last thing on your mind when you're out there. It has to be.
It's all speculation, of course, Jason, but we would assume this is a form of communication. Perhaps it is a way for them to communicate with each other over long distances, since it's a sound that carries through the woods, like, hey, I'm over here, are you over there? You kind of a call and answer response. It could also be a warning, get out of my area. This is my habitat. Here I am. You don't want to be around me, that kind of thing.
Of all the things we've done, if we could find evidence of a Bigfoot, especially in this area here, because we can't go on the road right now because of COVID, I think that would be fantastic. It's if it's there, it's maybe a more physically tangible thing to kind of capture evidence of. Next time on We Want to Believe.
Does the grass look pressed down towards the door?
Not here. So if someone was in there, it would have been
A while ago.
What is that?
There does seem to be a recurring pattern in terms of the way that these things are constructed.